Level 1, the captive. You wake up in chains. Your mouth tastes like copper. Blood crusts on your split lip. The rope burns your wrists raw. Your village burns behind you. Smoke rises black against morning sky. Bodies lie scattered in the mud. Your neighbor's dog whimpers beside a broken cart. Roman soldiers count heads like livestock. They speak Latin in clipped commands. You do not understand the words. You understand the tone. A centurion marks something on wax tablets. Your name becomes a number. Your life becomes inventory. They stripped your woolen cloak. They took your bronze armband. Your father's hunting knife disappears into a soldier's belt. The man beside you weeps silently. His tears cut tracks through the dirt on his face. A woman calls for her children in your native tongue. The soldiers ignore her cries. They load you onto wooden carts. Iron shackles connect your ankle to 5 strangers. The oxen begin to move. Your world shrinks to the space between wagon boards. The journey takes 12 days. You learn to sleep sitting upright, your head against another person's shoulder. The iron around your ankle rubs skin away, then rubs deeper. Your feet swell inside leather sandals you cannot remove. They feed you barley porridge once each day. Sometimes there are scraps of salted pork. The water tastes like the leather bags that hold it. You drink when they let you. You relieve yourself when they stop the carts. There's no privacy. There's no dignity. These concepts belong to your old life. You watch the landscape change. Hills become flatter. Trees become sparse. Roads become stone instead of dirt. More people, more carts, more slaves. Other groups join your caravan. Germans with yellow braids, Gauls with blue tattoos, children who cannot be older than 10 summers. An old man who speaks your dialect tells you about the auction blocks. He has been sold before. He explains how they check your teeth, how they test your muscles, how buyers examine slaves like horses at market. The city appears on the horizon. Rome, buildings taller than any tree, stone that gleams white in afternoon sun. Aqueducts carry water across impossible distances. The noise hits you first. Thousands of voices speaking at once. Cartwheels on stone, hammers on metal, animals braying, children shouting. The smell comes next. Sweat and cooking food and human waste and incense burning in temples you will never enter. They march you through gates guarded by soldiers in red cloaks. Citizens in white togas step aside as your column passes. Some point and laugh. Others ignore you completely. You are cargo being delivered. Nothing more. The slave market sits in a square surrounded by marble columns. Wooden platforms rise like small stages. Men in clean tunics examine the merchandise. They squeeze arms. They look at hands. They count teeth. A merchant buys you for 800 denarii. That is what your life costs now. Tomorrow you will learn what your life is worth. The cycle continues. Level 2, the field slave. You wake before dawn to the sound of the overseer's whistle. Your back still aches from yesterday's harvest, but your hands move automatically to wrap cloth around the fresh cuts on your palms. The grain is sharp. It always cuts through eventually. The fields stretch beyond what you can see in the pre-dawn darkness. Wheat, barley, olives, depending on the season. You know every furrow of this land better than you knew the face of your mother. That memory fades a little more each day. The blisters on your feet do not. You work in gangs of 20. The overseer rides his horse along the rows, counting baskets, marking tallies on his wax tablet. He knows your name now. That counts for something. It also means he watches you more carefully than the others. Your hands bleed into the grain you harvest. The stalks cut like small knives when you move too fast, but moving too slow earns you the lash. You find the rhythm between speed and safety. Most days, you find it. Some days, you do not. The sun climbs, and your tunic soaks through with sweat. Salt stings in every cut on your arms. You drink from the communal bucket when it comes around. The water tastes like clay and metal. You drink it anyway. Thirst makes your hands shake, and shaking hands make mistakes. At midday, you rest in whatever shade you can find. The other slaves share bread that tastes like sawdust. You eat it slowly, making it last. This is your one meal until evening. Your stomach learns to stop expecting more. The afternoon stretches longer than the morning. Heat rises from the soil in waves. Your vision blurs at the edges, but your hands keep moving, cutting, gathering, filling baskets. The rhythm becomes automatic. Your mind goes somewhere else while your body continues the work. You develop calluses thick as leather on your palms. Your shoulders broaden from carrying full baskets to the collection point. Muscles you never knew you had now ache in new ways. Your body adapts to this work even as it breaks down from it. The overseer calls your name when baskets need counting. You know numbers now, can calculate yields in your head. This small skill sets you apart from slaves who only know how to swing a scythe. Knowledge is a kind of currency, even here. Evening brings exhaustion so complete you fall asleep before your head touches the straw. You dream of endless rows of grain, of baskets that never fill, of cuts that never heal. You wake to the whistle and begin again. Your back curves slightly from bending over crops all day. Your skin darkens to leather from constant sun. These changes mark you as clearly as any brand. You are becoming something specific now, a tool shaped by its purpose. The harvest season ends and planting season begins. The work changes, but never stops. Your hands learn new motions, new pains. The cycle of seasons becomes the cycle of your body breaking down and building back stronger. Level 3, the household slave. You sleep on marble floors that cost more than entire villages. The cold seeps through your tunic into your bones. You wake before dawn to the sound of your own shivering. Your dominus owns 400 slaves. You know exactly 3 of their names. The rest are faces that appear and disappear like smoke. You learn to recognize footsteps instead of voices. The overseer's heavy boots, the cook's shuffle, the master's son dragging his feet after another night of wine. You carry water, you sweep floors, you hold mirrors while the domina applies coal around her eyes. She speaks about you as if you are furniture. Her words pass through you like you are made of air. The villa has 60 rooms. You know every corner, every loose tile, every place where the roof leaks when it rains. You know which stairs creak and which ones are silent. You learn to move like a ghost, because ghosts do not get beaten for being noticed. You eat scraps from plates worth more than your father ever owned. Olives that rolled off the master's table. Bread that went stale after one day. Wine mixed with so much water it tastes like nothing. You eat standing in the kitchen while the cook watches to make sure you do not take too much. The other household slaves do not trust you yet. Trust is earned over years. Years of proving you will not steal their meager belongings. Years of proving you will not tell the overseer their small secrets. You sleep alone on your marble bed and listen to them whisper in the darkness. You learn Latin faster now. Not the Latin of poets or senators, the Latin of commands. Bring this, clean that, hurry up, get out, stand still. Do not speak unless spoken to. You understand perfectly. Speaking Latin does not make you Roman. Your hands crack from the soap they used to clean the floors. The same soap costs more than your village saw in a season. You scrub marble with rags that were once fine tunics. Everything in this house was once something else, including you. The master's children run past you in the corridors. They do not see you. You are part of the architecture, a moving column, a breathing statue. They laugh and chase each other through rooms where you will spend the rest of your life cleaning their footprints. You know which foods the domina will refuse before she tastes them. You know the master beats his eldest son. You know the cook steals wine and waters it down. You know the overseer takes bribes to assign easier work. You know which slaves share blankets in the cold. You know everything because no one remembers you are listening. At night, you lie on marble worth more than kingdoms and count the hours until dawn. The cold keeps you awake. The cold reminds you that expensive floors are still floors. Beautiful cages are still cages. Tomorrow, you will carry water. You will sweep floors. You will hold mirrors. Your reflection will not appear in any of them. Level 4, the skilled artisan. Your hands know clay like your mother's voice. 20 years of sunrise to sunset at the wheel, and the vessel emerges without thought. The muscle memory lives in your fingers. You shape amphora that will carry wine across the Mediterranean. You craft bowls that will feed senators. Your pottery sits on tables you will never see. The workshop smells of wet earth and kiln smoke. Your station faces the courtyard where light streams through at the perfect angle for detail work. Other artisans work beside you. The metalworker who forges door handles for villas. The carpenter who builds furniture for houses worth more than 1,000 slaves. You nod to each other at dawn. That counts for something. Your master walks through twice each day. He examines your work with the eye of someone who has never touched clay. He points to a slight imperfection on a rim. You nod. That is the correct answer. He discusses your pieces with buyers as if the inspiration struck him in dreams. The amphora you threw yesterday becomes his vision. The glazing technique you perfected over 5 years becomes his innovation. You eat better than the field hands. Your tunic stays cleaner. Your quarters have a window. But your back aches from hunching over the wheel. Your lungs hold dust that will never leave. At night you cough clay. The younger slaves watch you work. They see the respect in the overseer's voice when he speaks to you. They see buyers examine your pieces with reverence. They do not see the cramped fingers that wake you at night. They do not see how your master takes credit for techniques your father taught you in a workshop that burned when the legions came. You train the new ones. Show them how to center the clay, how to pull walls without collapse, how to read the kiln's mood through smoke color. Some have natural talent. Others break more than they make. You remember breaking your first 100 attempts. Your first master beat you for each failure. This master simply deducts the cost of clay from your food ration. A buyer examines your latest creation, a ceremonial urn decorated with vine patterns that took you 6 days to carve. He praises your master's artistic vision, discusses commissioning more pieces in this distinctive style. Your master nods graciously, takes full credit. You stand 3 paces behind them, silent. The metalworker died last winter, lung fever. They replaced him with a boy from Gaul who knows nothing about bronze. The boy asks you questions about technique between crafts. You show him how to judge temperature by color, how to time the cooling. He listens carefully. In his eyes, you see the hunger to create something beautiful in a world that will never acknowledge his hand shaped it. Your pieces travel to distant provinces. Your amphora carry messages between governors. Your bowls feed families whose names you will never know. Somewhere in a villa outside Rome, a senator drinks from your cup. He compliments his host on the exquisite craftsmanship. Neither mentions the slave who spent 3 days perfecting that handle. The workshop door opens. A new slave enters. Young hands, fresh scars from recent capture. He stares at the wheel with the same fascination you felt 30 years ago. Level 5, the personal attendant. You wake before dawn to prepare your master's clothes. Not because he told you to, because you know he prefers his toga arranged a specific way, and discovering this preference cost you 3 lashes 2 years ago. You learn quickly what silence costs. You learn faster what speaking costs more. Your hands know the weight of his seal ring. You carry it when he bathes. You know which letters he reads twice. You know which names make his jaw tighten. He meets with Senator Marcus on days when his wife visits her sister. The wine stain on his desk came from the night he received news about his son's gambling debts. Everything. You say nothing. The other slaves call you cushioned. Soft work, they say. Clean hands. No calluses. They see the fine tunic your master gives you for public appearances. They see you eating better food. They see you sleeping in the house instead of the quarters. They do not see you testing every cup before it reaches his lips. They do not see you standing behind his chair during 4-hour Senate meetings, motionless while your back screams. They do not see the weight of every secret pressing against your tongue like a stone. You dress his hair with oils from Egyptus. You know exactly how he wants the curls arranged because getting it wrong means he arrives at the forum looking less than senatorial. Looking less than senatorial means lost votes. Lost votes mean his anger finds you later. Your fingers work through each strand while you pretend not to hear him practicing his speech about grain subsidies. The speech he will claim came to him during prayer to Jupiter. You helped him write it 3 days ago. His wife trusts you with her correspondence. She hands you sealed tablets and assumes your illiteracy keeps her secrets safe. But you learn to read by watching her son practice his letters. You learn to write by copying inventory lists in the kitchen. Now you know she meets her lover every 3rd day at the temple of Venus. Her monthly bleeding stopped 6 months ago, but she tells her husband it continues. The necklace she claims was stolen is hidden beneath loose stones in the garden wall. Knowledge accumulates like water in a cracked amphora. Eventually something breaks. You accompany your master to the baths. You hold his strigil. You listen to senators discuss troop movements in Germania while you scrape oil from their backs. You hear which praetors take bribes. You hear which consul beats his slaves to death. You hear which tribune sells citizenship documents. State secrets flow around you like water around a post. You are furniture with ears, furniture with a memory that could topple governments. At night you sleep on a mat outside his door, close enough to hear if someone climbs through his window, close enough to hear him weeping after letters from his creditors arrive, close enough to die first if assassins come calling. This proximity keeps you valuable. This proximity keeps you alive. This proximity slowly drives you mad. Tomorrow he promotes you to overseer of his country estate. More responsibility means more secrets to carry. More secrets mean deeper silence. The weight grows heavier every day. Level 6, the overseer. The leather handle is worn smooth from a dozen hands before yours. You wrap your fingers around it each morning, feeling the weight distribute across your palm. The whip coils at your side like a sleeping snake. You carry it everywhere now. Even when you sleep, it hangs from a peg beside your cot. Your quarters are larger, stone walls instead of wood, a real bed frame, oil lamp that burns through the night. You have a small table where you keep the daily work assignments written on wax tablets. Your handwriting has improved. Numbers flow easier now. Calculations for grain rations, head counts for field teams, production quotas that must be met. The other slaves step aside when you approach. Their eyes drop to the ground. You remember doing the same thing 3 years ago. Now you are the shadow they avoid. You wake before dawn to walk the barracks, count bodies, check for illness, mark absences on your tablet. A fever means reduced numbers in the fields. Reduced numbers mean missed quotas. Missed quotas mean the steward asks questions, questions you answer for. The morning horn sounds. You lead 60 workers to the olive groves. Your voice carries across the rows as you assign positions. Team leaders report to you, you report to the steward. The chain runs both ways, up and down, always up and down. A new arrival stumbles in the third row. Fresh from the markets, still has soft hands, still flinches at the sun. You remember soft hands, you remember flinching. The leather feels warm in your grip as you approach. The crack echoes between the trees. He works faster after that. They always do. You eat separately now. Not with the field workers, not with a house staff. Your meals come from the kitchen, but you take them alone. The cook leaves bread and olives on your table without speaking. Sometimes fish, sometimes wine mixed with water. You taste everything carefully. Trust requires constant verification. Your back aches less. Your hands have healed. Your stomach stays full. But sleep comes in fragments. You dream of faces, voices calling your name. Not your slave name, the name your mother gave you, the name you have not heard spoken in 7 years. The afternoon brings inventory, storage rooms filled with amphorae, grain sacks stacked to the ceiling. You record quantities, check seals, note damages. Your writing has grown precise. Each mark represents value, value that flows upward to men who never touch dirt. Evening discipline sessions take place in the courtyard. 3 lashes for talking during work. 5 for spilling grain, 10 for attempted escape. You announce the infractions in a clear voice. The leather whistles through evening air, bodies tense with each strike, including yours. The steward watches from the covered walkway. He nods when punishment is complete. That nod means you have performed adequately. Adequacy keeps you fed, keeps you sheltered, keeps the whip in your hand instead of across your back. Another day ends. You coil the leather carefully. Hang it on its peg. Check your tablets one final time. Tomorrow will bring the same counts, the same quotas, the same faces that refuse to meet your eyes. The steward calls for you at dawn. New responsibilities wait. Level 7, the steward. You hold the keys to the villa's strongbox. Your hands count coins that represent more wealth than entire provinces see in a year. The bronze keyring weighs heavy on your belt. Each key opening doors to storerooms, account books, and decisions that ripple through hundreds of lives. The master calls you into his study at dawn. He speaks in numbers, grain shipments from Egypt, wine futures from Gaul, property taxes on the estates in Campania. You nod, you calculate. You remember everything because writing it down where others might see would be dangerous. You manage 300 slaves across 7 properties. Your word determines who eats well and who goes hungry, who gets reassigned to easier work, and who gets sent to the quarries. They call you Dominus when the master is not around. They bow their heads when you pass. That counts for something. Your quarters are in the main house now. Real walls instead of a curtain. A window that faces the garden. A proper bed with a mattress stuffed with wool. You own a bronze mirror and 2 changes of clothing. You eat meat twice a week. Your sandals are leather, not rope. But you never sleep through the night. The account books swim through your dreams. 50 amphorae of oil missing from the warehouse in Ostia. The overseer in Brundisium skimming profits. The master's son gambling away the income from the pottery works. Your mind never stops calculating, adjusting, covering gaps that could destroy everything. You sit in the marketplace negotiating contracts with free merchants who need your business. They offer you wine. They compliment your judgment. They invite you to their homes. You smile and decline. You are still property. One bad harvest, one political miscalculation, one enemy whispering poison in the master's ear, and you are back to hauling water. The master trusts you with decisions worth millions of sestertii. You authorize purchases that feed half of Rome. You write letters to senators and provincial governors. Your recommendations determine which investments the family makes. Your signature appears on documents that outlast empires. You have not touched your own money in 15 years because you have none. Every transaction flows through your hands and into accounts you manage but do not own. You wear fine clothes that belong to the household. You live in luxury that evaporates the moment your usefulness ends. Young slaves seek your favor now. They bring you information about inefficiencies, theft, opportunities. You decide which ones advance and which ones disappear. Their gratitude tastes like ash because you remember when you looked at another steward the same way, believing that proximity to power was the same as having it. The master's ledgers show your assigned value has increased to 8,000 denarii, more than most free citizens earn in a lifetime, less than the cost of the marble statue in the atrium. You are the most valuable property the household owns and the most replaceable person in it. Your former cellmates work the fields under overseers who report to you. They avoid your eyes when you inspect their work. The distance between you and them grows wider every year. But the distance between you and freedom remains exactly the same. Level 8, the tutor. You teach Marcus Aurelius Crassus the geography of Asia Minor, while your own son, sold to a mine in Hispania 12 years ago, cannot read his own name. The irony tastes like copper coins on your tongue. You recite Virgil from memory because the master's 8-year-old daughter must know the Aeneid by heart before her betrothal next spring. Your daughter would be 15 now. You wonder if she remembers any of the songs you taught her. The master pays 800 denarii annually for your services. That is more than most citizens see in 2 years. You wear a clean tunic made of fine wool. You eat with a family when guests visit because an educated slave reflects well on the household. The children call you magister with genuine affection. Young Gaius brings you gifts from the market, dried figs, a scroll of Plato you have already memorized. You live in the room above the library, wooden floors, not packed earth, a window that faces east toward the hills, shelves lined with works by Cicero, Seneca, Tacitus, books worth more than human lives, because you have seen the accounting ledgers. A complete set of Aristotle costs what your family cost when they were separated at auction. The master trusts you to walk freely through the city. You carry messages to other households. You purchase papyrus and ink from merchants who assume you are free. Citizens nod respectfully when you pass. They see the intelligence in your eyes, the quality of your clothing. They do not see the brand on your shoulder or know that everything you own can be taken with a single word. You teach rhetoric to prepare young Marcus for his future in the Senate. You explain how to structure an argument, how to read an audience, how to make lesser men believe they have chosen to follow you. Your own voice carries no weight in any forum. You cannot testify in court, you cannot own property. You cannot marry the woman who tends the household shrine, though you have loved her for 6 years and she loves you in return. The younger children gather around your chair in the evening. You tell them stories of Odysseus, of Hector's noble death, of the founding of Rome. Their eyes shine with wonder at tales of heroes who choose their own fates. You tuck them into beds lined with silk while your own children sleep on stone floors, if they sleep at all. Your former master's son visits occasionally. He is a magistrate now, wealthy from silver mines worked by men who look like you once did. He still calls you by the name he gave you as a boy. He pats your shoulder with genuine fondness and tells his children how you taught him everything he knows. He means it as kindness. You dream in Greek and wake speaking Latin. You have taught 3 generations of this family to think, to question, to lead. None of them question why the man who shaped their minds has no legal existence. None of them wonder what you might have become if you had been born 10 miles north of the border instead of south. In the slave quarters, a new arrival asks if you think freedom is possible. You quote Seneca, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." You do not mention that Seneca owned 500 slaves when he wrote those words. Level 9, the freedman. The brand on your forehead burns in winter cold. 20 years since the iron touched your skin, but the scar tissue pulls tight when you frown at ledgers. You run 3 workshops now: pottery, textiles, a small bronze foundry that supplies military contracts. The same hands that once emptied chamber pots now hold contracts worth more denarii than your former master sees in a season. You wake before dawn in a house with 7 rooms, real walls, real doors that lock from the inside. Your bed has a frame carved from imported cedar. Your tunics are dyed Tyrian purple because you can afford it now, because no law prevents it. The irony tastes like copper in your mouth. Your workshop foreman was born free. He calls you Dominus with perfect respect and perfect hatred. You see it in how he sets down your morning reports, how he pauses half a heartbeat too long before answering your questions. He knows what you were. Everyone knows. The brand ensures that. You employ 43 people. 12 are slaves you purchased yourself. You feed them better than you were fed. You never use the whip. You tell yourself this makes you different. Then you watch them flinch when you approach too quickly and know the brand marks more than just your face. The magistrate who handles your contracts was a boy when you scrubbed his father's floors. Now he needs your bronze for his aqueduct project. He shakes your hand at the forum. He invites you to his dinner parties. He introduces you to other freedmen, other former property who learned to read numbers and build wealth from nothing. You smile and make conversation about grain prices and Syrian trade routes. You never mention the time his father had you beaten for dropping a wine cup. Your former master visits every month. He examines your account books with the same attention he once gave your punishment schedules. He owns 20% of everything you build. The manumission contract was clear about this. Your freedom came with terms. It always does. You pour him the good wine and listen to him complain about his gambling debts while you calculate how your profits will cover his losses. You cannot run for office. You cannot serve in the legions. You cannot testify against a citizen in court. Your sons will be citizens, but you will die with the same legal status you had the day the stylist first marked your name in someone else's ledger. Wealth changes everything except the law. You visit the slave markets twice a month, not to buy, to remember. You watch the fresh arrivals stumble off the transport ships, Gauls with yellow hair, Africans who speak no Latin, children who still cry for their mothers. You see yourself in their faces and feel nothing. That absence of feeling is the heaviest thing you carry. A young Syrian girl stands on the auction block, educated, literate in 3 languages. She holds her head high while buyers examine her teeth. You have the gold to purchase her contract. You have workshops that need skilled labor. You tell yourself you would treat her well. You walk away instead. Some chains you can break, others you just learn to wear. Level 10, the imperial slave. You wake at the 4th hour in marble chambers that echo with the weight of empire. Your toga is silk from Serica, your sandals crafted by artisans who will never wear shoes this fine. You are property worth more than entire provinces. The morning briefing arrives on wax tablets, sealed with the imperial signet. Grain shipments from Egyptus, silver from Hispania. Reports of unrest in Germania that require delicate correspondence with governors who technically outrank you, but dare not refuse your requests. You draft replies in Caesar's voice because Caesar trusts your hand more than his own scribes. Your secretary enters without knocking. He is a freedman who owns property, votes in assemblies, calls himself citizen. He bows to you. You are chattel who commands legions through carefully worded letters. Yet, you cannot own the stylus in your hand. The Syrian merchant waits in the antechamber. He brings pearls from the Red Sea and news from eastern kingdoms. You negotiate prices that will affect markets from Britannia to the Euphrates. Your word moves fortunes. Your signature appears on no documents. Everything belongs to Caesar, including the thoughts in your head. Noon brings the gladiator matches. You sit in the imperial box, closer to Caesar than senators who trace their lineage to Romulus. Crowds cheer when you nod approval. Your gesture decides who lives. Your master decides if you live. The afternoon holds audiences with provincial governors. They address you as Dominus Lord, though you wear no toga praetexta, hold no magistracy, possess no citizenship. You speak and they listen, because Caesar's ear belongs to you today. Tomorrow, he might have you crucified for the same words. Your villa overlooks the Campus Martius. Frescoes depict your victories in negotiation, your successes in administration. Artists paint your likeness for posterity. Your name appears on no public monuments. History will remember Caesar's deeds accomplished by Caesar's slaves. Evening brings private counsel with Caesar himself. You discuss matters of state that senators debate in ignorance. Your advice shapes policy that governs the known world. He values your wisdom above his freedmen, advisors, above his own family. One whispered accusation from any enemy, and you face the arena beasts. Your children are born free because Caesar wills it. Your wealth exceeds most patricians because Caesar permits it. Your power touches every corner of the empire because Caesar trusts you. Your life hangs by the thread of Caesar's mood, his health, his successor's whims. You dine on dormice stuffed with honey and peacock tongues. Poets recite verses praising your intellect. Philosophers seek your patronage. Citizens who trace their bloodlines to the 7 hills petition for your favor. You are the most powerful slave in human history. Sleep comes on Syrian silk beneath painted ceilings that cost more than armies. Your dreams are filled with documents that need your attention. Crises requiring your insight, an empire that cannot function without your invisible hand. In the slave markets below the Palatine, a young Greek mathematician stands naked on the auction block, educated, articulate, purchased for the imperial household. He has no idea what awaits him in those marble halls, what heights of power exist within the depths of bondage. The cycle continues.